take the plough out, you should not touch the land on that day. These things are not just simply we fixing, okay, once a week I need a break, not like that. There is something happening in our system, there is something happening in the atmosphere. The entire ocean is rising, there must be something happening, isn't it? If the entire ocean is rising, 70% of your body is water, you think it's not rising? And if it's rising, you can either use it positively or unconsciously you can make it into a negative force. You know, this is known to many people today also in the world, even in modern psychology. Those who are mentally disturbed tend to get more disturbed on these days. Not because Paurnami Amavasya causes madness, simply because energy rises. If you're meditative, you'll become more meditative. If you're loving, you'll become more loving. If you're joyful, you'll become more joyful. If you're a little imbalanced, you'll become more imbalanced. So it is not doing that quality to you, it is just enhancing whatever you are. So it is important on that day, you are in a good state. Now when the energy moves up, that gets enhanced. So those were the breaks. Like this, most of the festivals, there are many which are only celebratory in nature, which is connected to harvest and other aspect, that's different. But significant festivals have something to do with the planetary positions and the impact that position has upon your physiology. There is every month on the 14th day is called Shivaratri. One day before the new moon day is called Shivaratri.
Okay.
So on that day there's a natural upsurge of energy in the system. MahaShivratri is that one day which comes after you move into what is called as Uttarayana or the northern run of the planet in relation to the sun. So, when this Amavasya comes or this Shivaratri comes, the nature of the existence or the nature of the planet is such, especially in the northern hemisphere, there is a huge upsurge of energy. So on that day or that night especially, we were always advised not to get into horizontal positions. This is why not sleeping, the jagaran is not about going out and playing cards or drinking or meeting your friends, it's not about that. The important thing is your spine should be erect, because energies are trying to move this way. In this, if you lie down like this, you will create a distortion in the system. Being conscious of this, they said you must sit up. How to sit up? People won't sit up, not everybody is so meditative. So celebrations, dance, music, meditation, something to see that everybody is sitting with their spine erect. So, in many ways this MahaShivratri was receding. I think in the last 23 years, we've brought MahaShivratri back on the platform. People are beginning to understand, not just in India, across the world, millions of people are sitting up on that night, which is great, because this is being conscious. See, for me, if I just close my eyes, I will tell you what day of the month it is in terms of the moon. It's not some extrasensory perception, most animals know. Cobras always know. Human beings have the most evolved neurological system, every human being should know, but unfortunately, we don't know how to handle our cerebral activity, so non-stop Twitter is happening.
Okay. Twitter and clutter and mutter and everything else, all the noise is coming.
All the turters are happening.
Yes.
So because of that, we don't notice. So if you notice, you would know on Paurnami and Amavasya how your physiology behaves, how it affects your psychological process. This is happening. You just need to be little attentive to what's happening. On specific days, it's much more. MahaShivratri is one day when there's a huge upsurge.
Hara
In the yogic culture, every Shivaratri people stay up. Okay? In the ashram, for example, in the Isha Yoga Center,
right,
every Paurnami and Amavasya, it's like this. On Paurnami nights, the temples are open only for women.
okay,
On Amavasya nights, it's open only for men.
okay,
Because significantly, masculine and feminine is dominant on those days.
okay.
So accordingly, they make use of that space and that energy in a certain way. They are instructed how to make use of it. But MahaShivratri, you don't have to know anything. For anybody, it will work. So, at least if you don't know anything, keep your spine erect, that's all.
Right. Simple.
Go to a cinema if you want.
Simple but so powerful. And
It
I think
is.
the whole way of putting it across and making it actually… and that's the reason for saying, okay, go to the temple, because that's what works. You don't have to keep explaining this whole thing, but say, at least the benefits come to you, and that's the mass movement.
See, people who… this is an open space, MahaShivratri happening in our center.
Right.
Probably the largest event on that day in the country. These million and odd people who come there, for many people, they have not done any yoga or any meditation, anything. That one night is life transforming for many people. You will hear this from any number of people.
Right, we have. Sadhguru, what is the role of thought and thinking in spiritual awakening?
See, a thought is only a handpost. Maybe this term is not used anymore, a handpost, you know. In olden times, or even today in some parts in southern India, we have this, that let us say this way to Himachal Pradesh means there will be a
Pointer.
pointer, which is called a handpost because it's in the shape of a hand, like a man pointing.
Right.
So suppose it is written this way to Kedarnath, it only points, it doesn't take you there. Handpost is not a vehicle to travel with, it's only a direction to take. So if you climb on top of this and sit on this handpost, you are not going to get to Kedarnath. You only have to take the direction. So like this, thought only sets a direction, it doesn't take you there. Now the problem with most people is, they think it actually takes them there. In the sense, right now if they start thinking about something, they're already there in their imagination. So once you lose this distinction, what is a psychological reality and what is existential reality, you will be eternally confused.
True.
Psychological reality is entirely made by you. Existential is there. You have to live in what is there. You can't make your own stuff and live in your mind. If you live in your mind, unfortunately, you know, we got this from the Europeans, that man is sitting like this thinking.
The thinker, yeah, right.
This thinker business is essentially from Europe. In India, we never valued human thought. This must be understood in the right context, because we saw human consciousness is far bigger than thought.
Beautiful.
Human thought is like bits and pieces of the existence. Human consciousness can contain the entire cosmos. So we always focused on how to make an individual conscious rather than making him thoughtful, because you will never put this jigsaw of this existence piece by piece, it's never going to work. You as a human being, if I take piece by piece of you and put it together, kidney, liver, heart, will you become you? It will never happen. So first of all, there are no pieces. Pieces were made by your mind.
Okay.
Because you are using… even when we say mind, in India, we have various levels of mind. In the yogic culture, we are looking at mind as 4 parts. This is called buddhi, ahankara, manas and chitta. Buddhi means the intellect. Today, unfortunately, because of Western influences, we all think intellect is the only intelligence you have. See, the nature of intellect is like this, it's like a knife. If you ask anybody, would you want your buddhi to be sharp or blunt? What would be the natural answer?
Sharp.
Sharp.
Right.
So it's like a knife. What do you use a sharp instrument for? To cut.
Right.
So if I want to dissect you, I need buddhi, I need intellect. Now I will dissect you and see who you are. But tell me, will I ever know you by dissecting you?
No.
Is it possible that I will know you by dissecting you? By dissecting you, I may see the size and shape of your heart, but what was beating in your heart, I will never know. By inclusion, you may know, but by dissection, you will not know. Dissection is useful only to know the physical nature of the existence. Now we are trying to use intellect to know everything. You want to do everything with a knife. When you do everything with a knife, you will leave the world in tatters. In your own mind, it's all so many bits and pieces, it's driving people crazy. They can't sit at ease even for a moment because they have cut the world into pieces in their mind. It is like you want to stitch your clothes, but the only instrument you have is a knife. So you stitch with your knife, your clothes will be in tatters. You need something else to stitch.
Right, absolutely.
But now you're trying to do everything with a cutting instrument, which is intellect. With a cutting instrument, if you do everything, inevitably you will be mincemeat after some time.
Right. So true. So when we again talk of, Sadhguru, in the mind and thought, so we have there's history, there's past, and then there is a future, and knowing that the history is like, something which is dead and gone, the future is a mystery. It's the moment and the nowness, and the consciousness is what actually keeps us in the nowness. The human being has the capacity to live in the now, yet for some reason the past and the future dominate.
See, I wouldn't go into the vocabulary that you're using, the nowness.
Okay.
See, the entire existence is right now, okay, in this moment. Now, this is not about living in the moment. The moment you make a philosophy, live in the moment, this philosophy is going all over the world. Live in the moment, live in the moment. It started in America, now it's also into urban India, live in the moment. I'm asking you, please live somewhere else and show me, please. Can you?
It's not possible.
Then why such a teaching? Why do you need such a teaching that live in the moment? Because anyway, do whatever you want, you can only be in the moment. You cannot be anywhere else. Only thing is, what they're telling you is, do not think about yesterday, do not think about tomorrow, which is what you were referring to in some way. I'm saying, it took millions of years of evolution to get this kind of cerebral capability that I can remember what happened in 1,000 years. And I can project what I want to do in the next 100 years. So, this much capability to get here, nature had to do enormous amount of work for a few million years to get your cerebral activity to this level.
Okay.
Now, simply because somebody has not learned how to handle their cerebral activity, now they are saying, destroy this, because thinking about the past, thinking about the future is freaking us, let's destroy this, let's be in the moment. What they're saying is, see, if we remove half their brain, they will be living in the moment.
Okay. Right, well put. But that half brain and the tragedy of the being is, they will also be cluttered with a lot of baggage. What is our
you
propensity?
Can remove some more.
Yeah, okay. Till there's a no brain.
No, little brain enough to just amble around in your house, eat and drink and sleep.
Right.
You can do that. That may anyway happen to a lot of people in their old age,
Right.
okay? But the significance of being human is, I remember the yesterday vividly, my experience of yesterday, and I can imagine tomorrow's yet-to-be situation vividly and create that.
So that's the empowering part of being a being.
That is the most beautiful part of being human.
Okay.
Just because the problem is this, you have been given a supercomputer and you did not bother to read the user's manual. Without you reading the user's manual, you try to handle this, it's a mess. And now because it's a mess, people are saying, you must dull the mind. Do not remember yesterday, do not think about tomorrow, just do what you're doing today. You will do innocuous, meaningless things. You cannot do anything significant. The power of being human is, we remember not only our experience, we remember the experience of the entire world.
Right.
Yes?
Absolutely.
This is what makes us who we are. Because of this, that we don't have to actually go through what 1 billion people have gone through, in some way we have made that our experience. Because of that, we can imagine something that we can create tomorrow and human life goes on. Now the problem is, all this is coming because joyless people invent these philosophies. They feel little peaceful when they don't think about yesterday and tomorrow. Yes? That's the only problem. So I am talking about a chemistry of blissfulness. You know, all human experience is based in your chemistry. What you call as joy, what you call as love, at least for love everybody is using the chemistry business.
Okay.
But for everything, every human experience, your anxiety, your tension, your depression and your ecstatic moments all have a chemical basis in your system. Now, I can teach you a simple way where you have a chemistry of blissfulness, no matter what's happening in the world. Because after all, it is your physiological and psychological situation that you have to manage. You can't manage the cosmic situation. You only have to manage your physiological and psychological situation. If you manage this well, the world is there, always. What you can do in the world and what you cannot do in the world is determined by how well your physiology and your psychology is managed, isn't it?
So true, right. So that means if the world is within, Sadhguru, we also talk of the path to spiritual growth or spiritual awakening, and there are different names for that. So is spiritual awakening an individual process dependent on the self, or does the collective play a role in it?
Collective can create an ambience. So the reason why this culture saw the maximum number of enlightened beings right from ancient times is because the society invested in that direction. Because society invested in direction, naturally right from an early age people were oriented in that direction, so it produced lots of yield. Like for example, anything technology means everybody wants to go to Silicon Valley. You think in that valley technology is growing? There is an ambience where everybody is thinking that and driving towards that. So, lot of technology happens there. It is not that people there are specially endowed or that place is geared for technology, nothing like that. They have created an ambience where everybody thinks technology, acts technology. So obviously many things come out of it. Similarly, we invested in inner technologies, how to manage this one to its peak. Because of that, we produce results. Unfortunately, we moved a little bit away. It's time we get back this nation there, because as external technologies grow, like robotics is growing big time. Suppose the robots start doing all the work, okay? Next time I come, you have a Doordarshan robo interviewing me, all right?
Okay, right.
So
I shall
your job they'll take, not my job.
Okay, I shall be careful with my facial expressions, they might just keep me
So I'm saying, when it takes all the physical jobs that we are doing and even reasonably intelligent jobs that we are doing, what are the human beings going to do? They are supposed to be joyful, blissful and do something else, which no mechanical thing can do, isn't it? But are we geared for that? This is what we geared for right from ancient times. If everything is well, then what?
Right. You're so right, Sadhguru. We are really not geared to handle joy. And there are many people who feel guilty for feeling joyous, Oh, I can't be happy all the time.
No, that's because most people's joy is only in other people's failures. Yes, people are enjoying what others don't have.
So warped. That is so warped. Sadhguru, you also say that action does not produce karma, your reaction does.
Volition.
Okay.
See, action is just a physical thing. The intent and the volition behind it is what produces karma, because karma is an internal thing that you're doing. Your thought, your emotion, your intent produces more karma than physically doing something. See, right now, I took this glass in my hand, it slipped out and jumped and hit you in the head. Accident. This is one kind of karma, of negligence.
Okay.
Or, I took this and threw it at you because I don't like what you're saying to me. This is another kind of karma because the intent is to hurt you. Or, I want to take this and bang it on your head, but I don't do it out of my civilization. I'll hold it back, but I did it 1,000,000 times in my mind. This is a far deeper karma. The impact of it on you is much, much bigger than actually throwing the glass at you.
Because you're still harboring it
Because you will do it 1,000 times.
in your head, true.
If you do it physically, you do it only once. So this is not an endorsement that all of you throw things at everybody. The thing is, you must understand, when you create resentment, when you create anger, when you create jealousy, you are generating poison in your system. You drink poison, but you expect somebody else to die. Life doesn't work like this. You drink poison, you die. This is a very fair world.
Right, true. So everybody has this whole bit about, assessing. We assess people, we think of people, we judge ourselves, we judge people, and we have this whole bit about morality, moral values, my value system, his value system, universal value system. What is morality? What are morals, moral values?
I've been in a bit of a controversy because I said India doesn't have morality. Of course, they misunderstand this. I said this nation has been run on human consciousness, not on morality, but on humanity.
You agree?
We always aimed at how to stir up your humanity, because that's what you are, essentially. You are a human being, you are not a moral being, naturally. If your humanity is on, you do the best things. But if I tell you must do good things, you will find devious ways to do just the reverse of that, but within the legal system or the moral system of that society. Every society, how many people are doing absolutely disastrous things to each other, but within the framework of the law?
True.
So, morality is an imposed structure. Humanity is intrinsic to you and me. Nobody need to impose humanity on me, I am a human being. Maybe unfortunately a lot of people forget that, but essentially you're human. Being human means just this, that between other creatures and us, see, they are born, we are born. They grow up, we grow up. They eat, we eat. They sleep, we sleep. They reproduce, we reproduce. They die, we die. Only thing is, they do it smoothly, we do it with lot of fuss. Yes, but the fundamental difference is all that every creature does, we also do, but we can do it consciously. That's the big difference. So when I said consciousness is the way we have structured this nation, so for this, every generation had many people who are constantly revving up your consciousness. Somewhere because of this long period of occupation, we broke that system. So there is nobody to rev up your consciousness and your humanity, so we try to fall back on morality, but that's not in our DNA to take morality from somebody. Because even if those entities that we considered as divine came in front of us, we only ask questions.
True.
When Shiva spoke, Parvati asked 1,000 questions. When Krishna spoke, Arjuna is full of questions, because we are not used to taking commandments from people. Even divine entities come, we will ask questions because we understand in this country a human being has to evolve. A human being can't be just fixed with 5 or 10 morals and say, this is what you do. It's never going to work. We saw that constantly we have to strive to evolve, and this is your making. This is why we told you it's your karma. How you are is your karma. You are joyful, you are miserable, your karma. This looks cruel when you look at it from outside, but this is the only way, this is the most dynamic way to exist. Only if you understand that your misery is your making, you will transcend it. If I think my misery is because of you, will I ever transcend this?
I'll just keep blaming, and that'll become the rut of my life.
Yes.
Children are more tender, their consciousness is probably less cluttered. What are some things that we need to be careful with children and start working on their being or allowing their being to grow earlier?
As long as adults don't mess them, they're quite fine.
Yeah,
I
keep
must
away.
tell you this.
Hands off, okay.
No, total hands off won't work. If parents do hands off, somebody else will put their hand. See, you are not the only influence on your child. There are all kinds of forces. So you can't say total hands off. I must… You know, my girl grew up with me. When she was 3.5 months old, I was driving across the country with her. This is the time I'm building the foundation, so I'm driving every day. My hand on her, in the front seat, I strap her, just a 3.5-month-old infant.
3.5 months old?
Yes.
Okay.
Just my left hand here, my right leg down, full speed and on in the country. So every place I go, I hand over to some… Every day I'm in different homes and families. They did a wonderful job, every one of them. But you know, adults have this problem. When they see a child, they want to teach the child something that has not worked in their life.
Ah, nice. Lovely. Yeah.
Why I'm saying this? Obviously it's not worked.
True.
Because between you and your child, who is more joyful?
The child.
Child. So who should be a consultant for life? You have no business to be advising the child because he knows life better than you. You may know a few survival tricks, but you don't know any better as to how to be. Child knows better.
Yes.
So I saw that people have this urge and I told everybody, nobody will teach this girl anything. No ABC, no 1, 2, 3, no Mary had a little lamb. I don't care whether Mary had a lamb or not. Nobody will teach her anything. So because nobody teaches her anything, she's all ears and eyes. And by the time she's 18 months, she was speaking 3 languages fluently because she's listening, she's got ears.
Wow.
Like this, and she grew up without any influence like this. So when she was 12, 13, she was disturbed with something that happened in the school and she came home and she said, "You're teaching everybody so many things, you don't teach me anything?" I said, "Well, I don't do things unsolicited. Here you come, so this is all you have to know.
Okay.
Never look up to anybody." Then she looked at me, "What about you?" kind of expression. I said, "Not even me, because if you look up to me, you miss me totally. If you look at me the way I am, there's immense value to who I am. But if you look up to me, maybe you will want to nail me to the wall. And maybe you will do puja to me, but you will miss the entire possibility. If you look at me just the way I am a different possibility. If you look up to me, you miss it. And never look down on anybody. Never look up to anybody, never look down on anybody. This is all the teaching. If you do this one thing, you will see everything just the way it is. When you see everything just the way it is, you will navigate through your life effortlessly."
Wow, that's powerful indeed, and not only for a child, holds for each and every one of us, and the child in each one of us which we promptly kill as we pretend to grow.
No, they must grow, but unfortunately, most of them have not grown, they still remain children, and a lot of people claim as if it's a great thing to be a child. See, when you were a child, you desperately wanted to grow up, isn't it?
Right.
See, suppose you got stuck at the age of 6, both in body and mind. Would you think it's a great thing?
No.
Generally, I know this is not a good word to use, but it would mean that you're in some way retarded, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not something that you aspire for, but now that you've grown up and you don't know how to handle your adulthood, now you want to be a child. This is not good. It's wonderful to be an adult. If you become a conscious, mature adult, it's fabulous to be an adult.
Right. And I think somewhere, Sadhguru, this brings to thought that we associate being joyous only with children and not with adults. And that's so incorrect.
That's the whole thing.
Beautiful.
So you were only joyful when you were a child. Because you messed up, you think that was better. No, this is better.
Yes.
Being an adult is far better. If only you are a conscious being. If you are a conscious being, you would do the most pleasant things to yourself, at least within you. What the world may do to us, we don't know. What world throws at us is not our choice. What the world throws at us is not our choice. What we make out of it is 100% our choice. This is what it means when we say it's your karma. That means your experience of life is entirely your making.
Wonderful. Thank you
Thanks,
so much, Sadhguru, for making this a truly wonderful journey for all of us.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Please.
दूर उस आकाश की गहराइयों में एक नदी से बह रहे हैं आदि योगी, शून्य सन्नाटे टपकते जा रहे हैं, मौन से सब कह रहे हैं आदि योगी, योग के स्पर्श से अब योग में करना है तन मन, सांस शाश्वत सनन सननन, प्राण गुंजन धनन गणनन, उतरे मुझ में आदि योगी, योग धारा छलक छन छन, सांस शाश्वत सनन सननन, प्राण गुंजन धनन गणनन, उतरे मुझ में आदि योगी, उतरे मुझ में आदि योगी। पीस दो अस्तित्व मेरा और कर दो चूरा चूरा, पूर्ण होने दो मुझे और होने दो अब पूरा पूरा, भस्म वाली रस्म कर दो आदि योगी, योग उत्सव रंग भर दो आदि योगी, बज उठे ये मन सितारी, झनन 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 झनन, सांस शाश्वत सनन सननन, प्राण गुंजन धनन गणनन, सांस शाश्वत सनन सननन, प्राण गुंजन धनन गणनन, सांस शाश्वत सनन सननन, प्राण गुंजन धनन गणनन, उतरे मुझ में आदि योगी, योग धारा छलक छन छन, सांस शाश्वत सनन सननन, प्राण गुंजन धनन गणनन, उतरे मुझ में आदि योगी, उतरे मुझ में आदि योगी।
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
बिहाने चले पालकी सजा के बाबूती लगा के ना। ओ शिव जी बिहाने चले पालकी सजा के बाबूती लगा के पालकी सजा के ना। ओ जब शिव बाबा करे तैयारी कई के सकल समान हो, दाहिने अंग त्रिशूल विराजे नाचे भूत शैतान हो। ब्रह्मा चल विष्णु चल लय के वेद पुराण हो, शंख चक्र और गदा धनुष लय चले श्री भगवान हो। और बंटन के चले बम भोला लीले भांग धतूर का गोला, बोले जे हरदम चले लड़का परा के बाबूती लगा के पालकी सजा के ना। ओ शिव जी बिहान चले पालकी सजा के बाबूती लगा के पालकी सजा के ना। माता मत दिन पर छल चल ली तिलक दलीली लार हो, काला न गर्दन के नीचे वहू दिलन फुकार हो। लोटा फेंक के भाग चलैली का विधि लिखल लीलार हो, इनके संग विवाह न करबो गौरी रही कुमारी हो। कहे पार्वती समझाई बतियो हमरो माई, जय भर आइल हम कर्मवा लिखा के बाबूती लगा के पालकी सजा के ना। ओ शिव जी बिहान चले पालकी सजा के बाबूती लगा के पालकी सजा के ना। जब शिव बाबा मड़वा गईले होला मंगलाचार हो, बाबा पंडित वेद विचारे होला गुत्राचार हो। गुजर बिछी की लगी झालरी नागिन की अधिकार हो, बिच मड़वा में नाउन ऐली कर ठंगन बड़ियार हो। एगो नागिन दहलन विदाई नाउन जीवले चले पराई, सब हंसे लगला देवता ठठा के बाबूती लगा के पालकी सजा के ना। ओ शिव जी बिहान चले पालकी सजा के बाबूती लगा के पालकी सजा के ना। कोमल रूप धरे शिव शंकर खुशी भये नर नारी हो, राजा हिमाचल दान कराइले इज्जत रहे हमार हो। कहे बरसाती शिव शंकर से केहू के न पावल पार हो, बहिली महिमा अगम अपार हो। जय शिव शंकर ध्यान लगाए, इनके तीनों लोग दिखाए, कहे दुख रन यही पद बनवा के, बाबूजी लगा के पाल की सजा के ना, खुशी की हम चल पाल की सजा के, बाबूजी लगा के पाल की सजा के ना, खुशी की हम चल पाल की सजा के, बाबूजी लगा के पाल की सजा के ना, खुशी की हम चल पाल की सजा के, बाबूजी लगा के पाल की सजा के ना।
Mm-hmm.